can you use the properties of equality to write equivalent equations? Recall that an equation uses an equals sign to show that two expressions have the same value. The equation below is true. An equation is like a balance. To keep the equation balanced, you must do the same thing to both sides. Why does the picture show that the two pans balance? Each side has the same number of cubes. Each side has 8 cubes. The addition property of equality states that adding the same amount to each side of an equation produces an equivalent equation. How do you use math to represent adding 2 cubes to each side of the pan balance?
Select your answer.
You use math to represent adding 2 cubes to each side of the pan balance by adding 2 to both sides of the equation. Why are the pans still in balance? How do you know that the equation 5 plus 3 plus 2 equals 8 plus 2 is balanced? The pans are in balance because each side has 10 cubes. The equation is balanced because 10 equals 10 and because of the addition property of equality. The subtraction property of equality states that subtracting the same amount from each side of an equation produces an equivalent equation. After 2 is subtracted from each side of the equation, what is the value of the left side? What is the value of the right side? The value of the left side of the equation is 6. The value of the right side of the equation is 6. The multiplication property of equality states that multiplying each side of an equation by the same amount produces an equivalent equation. After each side of the equation is multiplied by 2, what is the value of the left side? What is the value of the right side? The value of the left side of the equation is 16. The value of the right side of the equation is 16. The division property of equality states that dividing each side of an equation by the same non-zero amount produces an equivalent equation. Remember that division by 0 is undefined. Dividing the expressions on both sides of the equal sign by any other number maintains equality. You can use the properties of equality to keep both sides of an equation equal. If 5 times y equals 25, which property of equality was used to write 5 times y minus 7 equals 25 minus 7?
The property used here, because they are subtracting 7 from both sides of the equation, would be the subtraction property of equality. That's it.
The scale balances with 1 blue X block on one side and 4 green blocks on the other side. Franklin put some more green blocks on the right side, and now the scale is not balanced. What can you do to make the scale balance? Which property of equality justifies this?
The quantity 4 is multiplied by 3 on the right side of the balance. Multiply the left side of the balance by 3 to balance the pans. So by doing that, now this side will become balanced with this one. And that property is the multiplication property of equality. And that means you can multiply each side of an equation by the same amount, and the two sides will be equal.
Marisol says you can add 12 to each side of the equation y minus 12 equals negative 30, and the equation will still be true. Jamal says you can subtract 5 from each side of the equation y minus 12 equals negative 30, and the equation will still be true. Who is correct? Explain.
As you see here, if you were to do what each of them say to do to the equation, it shows the addition and subtraction property of equality, and it will equal the same on both sides. So just to clarify this, we have y and minus 12 plus 12. These will cancel out, so you're left with y, and then 30 plus 12 will equal 42. And then on this side, for the subtraction, minus 12 and minus 5 will be y minus 17 equal to negative 30 minus 5, which will give us negative 35. And then for this particular, the subtraction property of equality, we have to continue simplifying this by subtracting or adding 17 to both sides. So I'm going to do it up top. This side will cancel out, and then we would have y is equal to negative 35 plus 17, and then that will give us 18, or negative 18. And then you go back to the original problem, or equation rather, and it is y minus 12 is equal to negative 30. So for the addition property, we do 42, because y equals 42, minus 12, and that will equal I'm sorry, I made a mistake. This is not equal to 42. Negative 30, I totally forgot about the negative, my apologies. So that would be negative 30 plus 12, which will give us negative 18. So that's negative 18. So back to what I was saying, you take that negative 18 and then you use it in the problem. You have 18 minus 12, negative 18 minus 12, and you get negative 30. And you do the Jamal's way, and you have the y is negative 18, so you have negative 18 minus 12, which is the exact same thing. Negative 18 minus 12, and you get negative 30. So it ends up being the same. So I just wanted to show you those steps.
Part A. A scale balances with 4 blue X blocks on one side and 36 green blocks on the other side. Complete the equation to balance the scale with only one blue X block.
We have the original expression. X is equal, because both sides of the equation or the balance was the X blocks and the 36 on the other side. And then they want us to balance it with one blue block. So we have to figure out what that one blue block would weigh. So they multiplied, the 4 blocks times X was on one side and 36 on the other. So to find what one block would be, they're going to divide by the 4 blocks. And whatever you do, again, to one side, you have to do to the other side. So you're dividing both sides by 4. So the 4 and the 4 here, 4 divided by 4 is 1. So you only have X left. And then 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9. So the equation would be that for that one block is 9. And then part B says,
Part B. If 25 plus D equals negative 36, does 25 plus D minus 25 equal negative 36 minus 20? Explain.
the answer here would definitely be a no. Okay, so this is no because remember we have to use the same thing on both sides of the equation. So if I'm subtracting 25 on this side, I must also subtract 25 on this side. 20 is a totally different number. So that's not going to be the same and it won't be equal. So that will be the reason why this would not be equal.